Back in the mid-70s, the first Civic changed the world. Armed with the first ever low-emissions petrol engine, it kick-started the trend towards cleaner cars, saving millions of lives in the process. And after that, the Honda kept wowing us with exceptional performance and amazing fuel economy. But by the beginning of this decade, the sedan version in particular somehow lost its charm. It just became another overgrown small car designed to appeal to Americans. The innovation was long gone. With buyers emigrating en masse to rivals like the Volkswagen Golf, Ford Focus and Mazda 3, Honda had to do something, and fast. Welcome then to the 10th generation Civic. They just don't come any newer than this. Basically, there are two 4-cylinder petrol engine options, a carryover 1.8 litre single cam unit producing 104 kilowatts of power and 174 newton meters of torque in the entry VTi from 22,390 and better equipped VTi-S for 24,490, or a racy 1.5 direct injection twin cam turbo, Honda's first, in the mid-spec VTi-L we have here from 27,790, sporty RS from 31,790 and tech-heavy VTi-LX from a hefty 33,590. This turbo is a headline act, since it delivers a healthy 127 kilowatts of power at 5,500 RPM and 2,200 newton meters of torque from as low as 1,700 RPM. Though it trounces the bigger engine for performance, the turbo uses nearly half a litre less fuel at just 6 litres per 100 kilometres. Honda hopes that this new Civic puts the company back on Australian small car buyers' shopping lists, since the old car had neither the performance nor refinement to lure people away from their Golfs and Mazda 3s. To that end, the platform is box fresh and lighter and more rigid than the one that came previously. It's got an all-new dual pinion electric steering system, along with a sophisticated multi-link rear suspension setup, promise European standards of handling and ride capabilities. In fact, this Civic has matured so much that Honda is counting on courting people who might otherwise have gone for the sadly discontinued Accord Euro. That's what the RS is gunning for. To that end, the wheelbase is 30mm longer and the tracks are 45mm wider than what came before. Well, if it's buyers of medium-sized cars that Honda wants to attract, then the Civic certainly has the space to do it. For starters, you sit lower than you did before, with plenty of room for heads, shoulders, legs and feet. Then there's the dashboard, which is far classier and more coherent than previously, thanks to beautiful instruments, high quality materials, simplified switchgear, and a massive central touchscreen with the reverse camera and Apple CarPlay/Android Auto. Plus, the seats are supportive, the driver position inviting, and the ambience a big step up from before. But the biggest change inside is what you don't hear or feel. The car is quieter. There's none of that suspension thump or that droning noise that used to get in the old car, and the ride is just a lot more supple than it used to be. And finally, the boot is massive, with a Commodore beating 519 litres. But it's not all a bunch of bouquets in here. For one thing, this isn't exactly a small car. It's about the size of a Camry of about 10 years ago, so it's quite big. Secondly, rear vision is quite bad because of the high shoulder line and fat pillars at the back. Thirdly, the touchscreen can be quite fiddly to use. But the worst thing about the new Civic is that it's not available with a manual transmission. I mean, what's going on? We have to wait until the Type R comes in the middle of 2017 before we get something with a gear stick and a clutch. Boo! And another thing, a lot of the driver assist technology like autonomous emergency braking, lane change assist, lane departure warning and adaptive cruise control is only available on the top-of-the-line VTi-LX. And that is disappointing because it just means that you have to spend upwards of $35,000 to get this potentially life-saving technology. Clearly, Honda has taken a long, hard look at itself and thought, we can do better. And that's exactly what's happened. The new Civic finally banishes boring for bold. And while the 1.8 litre engine isn't exactly exciting, the new 1.5 turbo is a cracker, making the most of an excellent chassis with an excellent ride, great steering and real refinement. So while it's not a revolution, at last some of that old Civic sparkle is back. About high time too.